All right. So we all work for money. We all do anything that we can to try to better ourselves, better our family. And finance is a huge subject that we either talk about or we don't talk about. So today I wanted to bring a guest that is an expert in the field. And she can kind of tell us a little bit more about financing when it comes to what everyone's talking about right now, which is generational wealth and, leaving a legacy. So it's my honor to present to you Laure Jean Pierre. Yes. Oh my gosh, she has the same name. Yes, because she's my sister. If you couldn't tell, you know what I'm saying? Same mom, same dad. Yes. So she's my sister. And she is the wealth attorney, the expert in this field. So I wanted to bring her on just to kind of talk to us all about what I think is a major, major concern, especially if you're an entrepreneur or just a regular person, even if you're not an entrepreneur. Finance is something that is heavy on most of our minds all the time. So, Laure, welcome to the Godly Business Podcast. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you don't need to be that formal, girl. I know you. But I wanted to start with like why this field, right? You went to law school, you could have gone any which way, you could have been an ambulance chaser, you know, but you chose this field. So why? Why?
Well, so as you know, I was in the financial field prior to law school. So being an attorney is my second career, and being in the financial field, what I constantly kept seeing was kind of like a disconnect with estate planning. That people don't know what estate planning is, at least in our community. We talk about generational wealth, and you kind of mentioned that, right? And I like to always mention and remind people, generational wealth is what we have acquired and then passed down from one generation to the next. The key word is passed down. So a lot of times in our community, we don't know what estate planning is. And unfortunately, right, we have now this world that of social media. People are talking about
Hmm.
it more, but at the same time, there are some misinformation out there. So my goal with my firm was to be able to not only address the financial part of generational wealth, but also being able to help clients plan accordingly to truly be able to pass it down from the next generation. So, we call ourselves the perfect marriage. We handle your finances and your legal and truly, give you generational wealth. So that was my goal with the firm. And hopefully the clients see the vision. Most of the clients, they do see the vision. And that's the goal there. That's why really I came into this field.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely true, right? Because especially for like our when you say our community, there's multiple community that we fall into, right? There's the black community and then there's the Haitian community, right? And I
All of them,
remember all of those,
especially the
right?
Haitian.
Exactly. And I remember the first time someone told me about 401k, the way they explained it, all I heard was like, "You're gonna take 3% of my money." That's what I heard. Like, so I did not understand what that was. And like you said, even though right now, yes, there's a lot of like online gurus talking about, oh, do this, do that. They don't give you the concept and like the deep dive or like what you need to understand, what it means, what you need to watch out for, right? Because you're doing something. Unfortunately, when you die, you don't know if you did it right. You know what I mean? And your kids still have to go to probate and still have to do all those things. So it's not just about just acquiring the knowledge. It's also the source of which you're getting that knowledge from. So that's very, very important. So you touched on that. Now I want to ask you, like you said most of your clients understand that and see the vision. So what would you say is like the biggest challenge that you have to overcome in your field, mindset that you have to deal with people? What are some of the challenges that you are facing in your business or that you're seeing that people are not getting, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's the constant fighting of the misconception, right? So even like a regular consultation. It could have been more productive if I didn't spend at least 30 minutes of that consultation trying to debunk all the false information that's out there. So, people are easier, they try to believe people that are not licensed online compared to their attorneys. And it's like, I practice in this field. This is what I do on a daily basis. So if I'm telling you this, it's because I know what it is. But unfortunately, people, it's kind of hard to unlearn what they've already learned. So I think most people in this field, all attorneys, it's like our challenge is trying to unteach people what they have learned already and try to really get them to understand the true concept of estate planning, how things work, and really how it applies to their specific situations. I think the misconception as well is that they can just have a one thing, and if one size fits
One
all,
size fit all.
and it's never that way. Yeah, because your family dynamics are different, your goals are different, your assets are different. So it's never that you can just go ahead and just pull up a template and add the names, and it's great. Because at the end of the day, guess what? You end up in probate, and your family still have to hire me and pay more money. So so I think that's my biggest thing right now is trying to educate my clients and our audience to really really understand what estate planning is, and also on the financial side, because not everyone online platform is licensed, not even licensed, but is really specialized to talk about certain things, right? I think social media has given a lot of people platforms, but it's like, okay, at what point do we say, oh, who can I really trust? And check their credentials. I challenge everyone to check their credentials. Check mine on all fields, right? On the financial side and the legal side, to make sure that the person that's talking to you is qualified to talk about that subject.
Yeah, exactly. I'm big on like I can only take you where I've been, right? So it's like if I have not sold $1 billion contract, even as a sales coach myself, I can't teach you how to sell a billion contract because I've never sold $1 billion contract. So you
Yeah.
coming to the wrong person. So it's like yes, if you need check the people that you know trust and verify, but verify because it is your money. It's very much your
Yeah.
money. So now I know you're talking more on the like personal side. Obviously, like I coach other businesses. What are some things that businesses are not considering, right? Because okay, yes, you have your business account, you set up your LLC, you're putting money in there, and then God forbid you drop dead. What happens? Like, what do you do if something like that happens? Or better yet, how do you prevent that from happening so that your family knows, okay, my dad has this much assets in the business. This is what I need to do, to get the funds in the business. And how do you set it up to where just like your personal life, your business life can, be protected as well to where they can get those finances in order?
Yeah, so it's like the business succession plan, right? So essentially, it's a business estate planning for your business. And a lot of people, they have businesses, but they never set up an operator agreement. An operator agreement is essentially like your foundation to your business. It talks about the membership, the breakdown of sales and profit, but most importantly, it talks about what happens in case of your incapacity and death. For a lot of the business owners, a lot of times they're single member LLCs, right? And if you guys don't know, a business account, you cannot add a beneficiary to it. Meaning, the only person that's authorized to sign for the business is the only person that can do so. So if something happens to you and you have a business account, guess what? It has to go to probate because you cannot add a beneficiary to it. But if you have a trust and you have the trust be the managing member of the business or however you set up, depending on what kind of business you have, the trust itself will be able to go ahead and continue the business or dissolve it, whichever way you decide. And also in the operating agreement, you can go ahead and name someone to step up and be able to go ahead and handle those affairs. But if you don't have that, right? Imagine your business, you pass away, or even not even pass away, you're incapacitated, and you have employees, you have vendors, you have to pay, but you're the only one that's allowed to sign and do anything on the business and to authorize. Guess what? Everything stands at a standstill because you didn't plan properly. It's great to have a business, but I like to say, are you building a business or are you having a hobby? Because based on what you steps you take to make sure that you put things in place will determine if it's truly a business that you're trying to go ahead and take 5 years, 10 years, or is it just a hobby that you do every now and then and don't have anything in place? It's like it brings you a little cash here and there, but you're not trying to progress and have a long lasting legacy.
Yeah, a long term plan. right, for the future. So like everything else, you have to plan ahead, and that's something that I talk about a lot as well. It's like when you start your business. Well, I talk about it from the sales perspective, right? If you're not selling, you have just an expensive hobby. But the same thing, like we cannot talk about generational wealth and building legacies, and now you have a four generation, like when we think of the big businesses, they're like four generation Johnson and Johnson, right? It's a generational business that gets passed on, and I bet you they have those things in place to make sure, like, okay, if this, then that, like, so that's something that I feel like a lot of us newer entrepreneurs are not thinking. Like, okay, we're just thinking, how can I make as much money as possible, and how can I get the thing that you're pursuing, but God forbid something happens, and like, does everything stop? You know what I mean? You definitely want to make sure that you're you on track with what you it is that you want to do. So my other question is, so I know you talk a lot about people making sure that they're aware of the things that they need to do business wise and personally. And there's so many like BS out there, for like a better word, right? Like, what is the first thing that you think? Okay, there's so many things. I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. What do I do first? What is the first thing that I need to do in my business and in my personal life? What is the first thing that I need to do if I just don't know where to go? Besides calling an attorney,
Reach out.
which I recommend.
I was gonna say reach out to an attorney or reach out to a financial advisor, but really it's trying to find reliable sources, right? To figure out what exactly are you trying to find out. Is it more on the financial side? Is it more on the legal side? Because again, I would say Google, but Google has a lot of misinformation as well. So reach out to someone in the field that is an expert in the field, right? Because if you want the answer, you have to be willing to go for the answer and sometimes pay for that, right? To be able to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to the source, to an expert that knows what they're doing and that can provide me properly and guide me properly. Because again, if you have a list of questions, depending on which side you fall on, whether it's financial or legal, you go ahead to the expert accordingly, right? If you're sick, you go to the doctor. I mean, of course, you initially will Google to see if something's wrong with you, but Google will tell you that you're dying anyways. That's a typical symptom. It's like death. I have a headache, death. But besides that, it's like you go to the doctor to really get diagnosis, get the blood work done to see how to fix it. Same thing with your business. If you have an issue and you have a question, go to the expert to see exactly what's going on. They can guide you properly.
Yeah, I would definitely say I agree. I know one of the thing that people always say is like, oh well, I don't have the money, and I always say you either pay for it up front or you pay for it on the back end, but you're gonna pay. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
going to pay. So either you pay for the expert and get your life stuff in order now while you have a say, or it's gonna be decided for you, unfortunately, by the state, and that is very very unfortunate. So now my thing is, you and your business, what besides that, what are some of the things that you find challenging that you are were not expecting, right? That you faced, and now that you're like, oh man, I wish I knew this when I first started. What are some of those things, and how did you overcome them?
It's more so I guess maybe the marketing, trying to, you start a business and they tell you, okay, you start a business, but how do you get clients? And there are so many different avenues to get clients, right? It's like how do you get clients and how do you go ahead and close the deal? So it's trying to figure out the different avenues, whether it's social media, whether it's in person, and finding what works and sticking to that, right?
Hmm.
I think in the beginning, when you first start a business, you're trying to figure it out. So you're in every pot, but it's like sometimes you can get overwhelmed because you're doing too much at the same time. So it's like pausing to see, okay, what is working and putting my energy on what's working and letting go of what's not working. Because if you're trying to do too much at a time, trying to figure out the 20 different ways, you'll get overwhelmed and you get discouraged. But it's just trying to really hone into this is working for my business, so I'm going to go ahead and focus on that in comparison, trying to do everything at once.
When you said that, it made me think of like this thing I heard where it says, "Don't major on the minors," and it's like not putting because then you focus so much on this. It's like, well, you still have a business to run. You know what I mean? You still have a business to run. Yes, you want marketing, you want leads, but you still have a business to run on a day to day. So the marketing can't be like your whole aspect. And I would have to say something that I do see on social media a lot, and with other people, it's like the social media marketing becomes the business, and it's like you don't have time to invest in your education, in your business, and promoting your stuff. So don't major on the minors and focus on, what's working. But one of the things that I have that helped me is getting help. And I think going back to what we were talking about, sometimes you have too much going on, and it's okay to go ahead and ask for help and
Yep.
investing in your business. So whether that's hiring someone or getting an intern or something, but like getting the help that you need, because you still have to focus on your business. So obviously I know you in finance and things like that. What would you say is a way for people to start focusing on the majors and not the minors, right? Like prioritizing, if you will.
Yeah, it's taking time to see, okay, what is, the most important thing. Is it that you want to have an online presence, or is it that you're trying to go ahead and grow your business? Because sometimes, yes, the online presence can go ahead and grow your business, but what is more important right now, right? So, in saying like what you said, like, don't focus on the minor. It's like trying to figure out, as I'm growing my business, is, going into face to face and having that conversation with the community more important. If that's what's more important, that's what's working, make that your priority. And also going back to, investing in yourself as far as education, right? So as an attorney, especially for me, a lot of things that I do, it's not only on the social marketing part, is me educating back into myself to see, okay, what are the different laws that are changing? What are the different aspects on the financial side and the legal side? Because I can only be as helpful to my clients if I educate myself and keep up to date with the laws and the changes, right? So as a business owner, you have to figure out, okay, what is important? Am I going to make sure that I'm the expert in my field so that I'm up to date with all the changes in my particular field so that when a client comes, I can answer them properly? Or am I going to go ahead and focus on social media, right? Not to say they can both coexist because social media, that's the way you get clients, that's the way you get clients, but that should not be your main focus because it's one thing, yes, you have the following, but how do you keep the following? How do you educate them properly? And that's making sure, again, by prioritizing what's most important right now at this moment in your at this stage of your business, what's most important.
Yeah, I'm biased, so I'm gonna say sales. Uh, get your sales, but yeah, definitely, you have to make sure you invest in your business, invest in your knowledge and your skills and things like that in order for you to grow. Find on the legal side, what because there are a lot of people that's like, hey, when I'm building my business, I want to. You should get an LLC. You should get an S corp. You should get this. You should get that. Maybe you should do, put your money in your personal bank account, things like that, right? So it's like, okay, I'm just starting out. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my hair, girl. I'm just starting out, and I'm not sure where to start, right? Like, what do I do first? What would you say from your expertise? If you're starting a brand new business in 2024, the three things that they should consider doing in order for them to set themselves up properly.
As far as to set themselves up properly, as far as finance.
I guess both, right? On the legal side and on the finance side. Obviously, you're in Florida, so we're talking specifically for Florida because that's where you're licensed, right? So,
Yeah.
if you're in another state, take this with a grain of salt, okay? That's another thing, right? With the social media thing, because people were like, "Oh yeah, I heard this," but they were talking about Tennessee. You in Arkansas. That's not the same thing. So yeah, what are the three things you would say is on the legal and on the finance side. That's someone who's just starting out. They're like, I want to start a business in 2024, August. What do I do?
Well, on the finance side, is really making, and I guess both the legal side too, making a business plan, knowing your numbers, knowing meaning how much it's going to cost you to start this business from every aspect, from the something as basic as building the website or the legal part, hiring an attorney or whatever the case may be, knowing how much it's going to cost you, and also how much it may cost you to sustain the business until it gets to a certain point. So
Mm-hmm.
depending on the kind of business, whether are you a product service business or service. So are you selling an actual tangible item, or are you providing a service? Because then it's like, okay, what is going to be my cost for my business? That's very important. And as far as my overhead costs, how long am I going to go ahead and be able to go ahead and sustain that on the financial side? And also, how are you going to go ahead and do finances? Are you going to borrow money? Or how is your personal finances? Because a lot of times when we first start off, we may have to serve as guarantor for business credit cards, right? So how is your personal finances, and how are you planning on taking out loans for the business? All those things fall into the financial side. On the legal side, making sure you have an operating agreement, making sure you have all the legal documents, and depending on kind of business that you're having, do you need contracts? Are you going to be hiring contractors or anything, or 1099 employees? Like, what contract you're going to have in place? What kind of business are you in? Are you going to be able to hire a third party? Like, all those things you have to think about on the legal side, because I don't care who it is. You can be in business with your mother, with your sister, with your brother, with your spouse. If you're getting into business with someone, you need to have a contract. So thinking about that on the legal side, making sure you have everything, up to date, and cross your dots and your I's, whatever that saying goes. I'm not American. Um, however that saying goes, cross your T's and cross your dots, whatever. But essentially, making sure you have everything in order, because on the legal side, you have to make sure not only the business is founded properly, like legally, right? The Sun Biz and the EIN. And please, 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 people, stop paying some company for an EIN. It is free. You go to the IRS.gov, it is free to stop paying someone for the EIN. But besides that, right, knowing all those steps as far as business to get it set up and making sure legally you have everything in order.
Yeah, I think the on the finance side, something you said is very, very important that I think people miss. And I'm sorry, I keep playing with my hair. I'm trying to get it fixed. But it's something that a lot of people miss is counting the cost it starts for the business. And I know you're approaching it from the finance side as far as like, hey, are you going to borrow money to do this business? Are you going to be able to keep up with the payment until you have your funds? But I also think counting the cost when it comes to your time, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you also have to count into, like your time that you're going to invest into this business. You also have to count, counting the things that you will miss, the things that you have to prioritize. Like, I can't go to this event because I'm starting a business. I can't do like the things that you have to say no to in order for you to focus on your bigger why and your yes. So definitely, definitely yes, counting the cost up front of what it will take for you to become and do the things that you're gonna do. Because I do think people misunderstand that if you're serious about doing a business. If you just want to do a hobby, it's completely different. Whatever
Yeah.
goes goes. And that's why I'll also tell people, like, be careful when you say I'm doing a side hustle, because if you start from the mindset that you're doing a side hustle, you're always going to have side hustle money. Versus if you like, hey, I want to do a business calls for a completely different mindset and a different approach. And those are the things that you have to look into. Are you going to invest in getting that accountant? Are you going to invest in getting that attorney? Are you going to invest in educating yourself and like, what does my field needs and all of those things? So very, very, very good point. But I just wanted to check that out. And of course, what you said, the LLC, like, it's free, people. Your EIN, don't pay for it. Like, I'm not trying to rain on nobody's parade with their business, but if you want to help another brother out and pay, go ahead, but you don't have to. um, I don't know if you froze or not. difficulties. But so we were just saying, you know, I think the last time we were talking just now, we were just talking about how some of the things that, we have to take into account when we start in our business and on the finance side, taking into account what it is that you want. And if you're approaching it from like a side hustle versus taking it as a serious business and all the things that you have to account for. So I know we're having some technical difficulties and you have to go. So just wanted to wrap up and say thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted for you to share where people can find you if they have questions and would like to get their finance life in order, where they can find you online and things like that.
Yeah, so our website is jplawandwealth.com. I am on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram as The Finance Attorney, so THE Finance Attorney. And, you can find us anywhere on any social media and also reach out to us in our email, which is info@jplawandwealth.com.
All right. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope you found value in this episode. I definitely wanted to talk about some of the things that you need to take into account when starting your business. So that's why I invited my sister from the same Mister, um, who's a finance attorney and advisor, to come and grace us with the information that she has and what some of the things that you need to consider. So if you are starting a brand new business, these are the things that you should consider. If you already have a business and you're thinking, hey, what do I need to do to protect myself? I understand from the financial side what I need to do to protect myself in the business side. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks again for taking the time to hang out with me on today's podcast and today's episode. Of course, as I always say, if you have questions, all you have to do is go to God, ask Him, and He will teach you, guide you, and counsel you in the way that you should go. God bless, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. Thank you again for coming.